Hey there! As learning creators, we at Goal is B are bringing a series of lessons on preparing for the critical reasoning section of the GMAT. In this lesson, we will explore the basics of critical reasoning questions and question statements and how to start with answering this section. Every week we will explore a simplified way of learning how to solve a question type for the GMAT critical reasoning section. Remember to like and share this video with someone who is preparing for the GMAT exam. Subscribe to this channel for more lessons on GMAT preparation and MBA application. In every GMAT critical reasoning question, you'll encounter three essential elements. The core, this forms the core of the question, containing the primary argument or factual information. The question statements, located just at the end usually, typically occupying 1 or 2 lines, this concise segment instructs you on the specific task, such as identifying an assumption, strengthening, weakening, and more. In the case of a provide a logical conclusion question, this directive often appears above the stimulus. The answer choices, each question offers 5 answer choices from which you must discern the correct one. The core can take 2 main forms, an argument or an array of factual statements. To differentiate between these, let's explore the components that constitute an argument, namely, conclusion, evidence, and assumption. Conclusion, evidence, and assumption. Let's illustrate these terms with a scenario. Investors are flocking to purchase shares of Company X. Recent financial reports indicate stellar performance, including substantial revenue growth and increased market share. Therefore, Company X is a sound investment choice. Conclusion, this represents the core of the argument, answering the what question. What is the argument fundamentally asserting? In this case, it suggests that investing in Company X is a wise decision. Conclusions are often signaled by words like thus, so, hence, or therefore. In their absence, try to summarize the entire argument into one concise line, often revealing the conclusion. Evidence. The conclusion tells you what the argument conveys, but the evidence clarifies why the argument reaches its conclusion. In our scenario, why does the author believe Company X is a sound investment? Simply because recent financial reports indicate stellar performance. This constitutes our evidentiary support. Signal words like because, since, or as a result of typically introduce evidence. The essence of the matter is that a conclusion typically relies on an opinion, whereas evidence is founded on facts. In this case, it is a fact that recent financial reports indicate stellar performance, but it is the author's opinion that Company X is a good investment. Assumption. Revisiting our example, it becomes apparent that the stated conclusion can't be unequivocally inferred from the provided evidence alone. The argument merely states that investors are attracted to Company X without delving into the reasons behind this interest. Consequently, the author assumes that the recent financial performance is the sole reason for the surge in investor interest. Without this assumption, the argument falls apart. For instance, if the primary reason for investor interest was a recent marketing campaign, even if the financial reports were poor, investors might still be flocking to Company X. Therefore, for the author's conclusion to hold, it is crucial to assume that the recent financial performance is the main driver of investor interest. Now that we've elucidated the components that constitute an argument, let's explore their relationships. All arguments inevitably adopt the following structure. Evidence with assumption gives us a conclusion. You can visualize the assumption as hidden evidence or a bridge connecting the evidence and the conclusion. If this bridge collapses, it becomes impossible to reach the conclusion based on the provided evidence. It is crucial to note that the assumption remains unspoken, residing solely within the realm of inference. Consequently, in a find an assumption question, if any of the options merely reiterates what's already stated in the argument, it cannot serve as the assumption. In summary, considering our example. Conclusion: investing in Company X is a wise choice. Evidence: recent financial reports indicate stellar performance. Assumption: the recent financial performance is the main reason for investors flocking to purchase shares of Company X. Remember to like and share this video with someone who is preparing for the GMAT exam. Subscribe to this channel for regular updates on GMAT preparation and MBA application assistance. One common misconception is assuming that the conclusion will invariably be the last sentence in an argument. In reality, the conclusion can be situated at the outset, the middle, or the end of the argument. Argument with conclusion at the beginning. Company X has demonstrated exceptional growth in recent years. As a result, investors are flocking to purchase shares of Company X. Argument with conclusion in the middle. Recent financial reports indicate stellar performance, which is why investors are flocking to purchase shares of Company X. Therefore, investing in Company X is a wise choice. Argument with conclusion at the end. Recent financial reports indicate stellar performance, and this is why investors are flocking to purchase shares of Company X. Therefore, investing in Company X is a wise choice. Given that the conclusion may be positioned anywhere within an argument, how can one identify it? The solution is straightforward, by applying the what and why method elucidated earlier. What is the author saying? Conclusion: investing in Company X is a wise choice. Why does he say that? Evidence: because recent financial reports indicate stellar performance. Therefore, you have successfully identified the conclusion and evidence. The what and why method proves especially invaluable as it necessitates a comprehensive comprehension of the argument's essence. As previously mentioned, some question statements encompass arguments, while others consist solely of factual statements, devoid of any conclusive stance. For example, the sale of automobiles in Vino City has increased by more than 100% in the last 1 year. Out of this increase, more than 70% are multi-utility vehicles and sports utility vehicles. Hatchbacks comprise the remaining 30% of the increase. This stimulus presents facts without explicit conclusions or arguments. Consequently, a stimulus can manifest in the form of an argument or a collection of factual statements, largely contingent on the question type. For instance, in a find the assumption question, the stimulus unfailingly adopts the form of an argument, while an explain the contradiction question often revolves around factual information. How to identify the conclusion, evidence, and assumption? There are a few ways to identify the conclusion, evidence, and assumption of an argument. One way is to use the what and why method. What is the author trying to say? This is the conclusion. Why does the author believe this? This is the evidence. Assumption: what is the author assuming to be true? This is the assumption. Another way to identify the conclusion, evidence, and assumption is to look for signal words. Signal words are words that indicate the relationship between the different parts of an argument. Some common signal words include: therefore, this indicates that the conclusion is being drawn. Because, this indicates that the evidence is being provided. Assume, this indicates that the assumption is being made. So, let's summarize the approach to attempt the critical reasoning questions on the GMAT exam. Step 1. Always commence by perusing the stimulus. While some students prefer initiating with the question stem, we consider this a redundant approach, as it necessitates reading the question stem, subsequently revisiting the stimulus, and then rereading the question stem. Step 2. Scrutinize the stimulus meticulously, attending to every word. In the end, endeavor to encapsulate the essence in your own words. If the stimulus embodies an argument, ensure clarity regarding what the stimulus is positing and why it asserts so. Step 3. Proceed to the question stem and employ the pertinent strategy tailored for the specific question type. Step 4. Allocate an average of 2 minutes to address each critical reasoning question. Certain questions may require more time, while others may be resolved in less than 2 minutes. Now that we've been able to share those best practices, we will proceed to the specific question types for GMAT critical reasoning section in the next episode. All the best! Remember to like and share this video with someone who is preparing for the GMAT exam. Subscribe to this channel for the next chapter shortly.